Hello and welcome back to Sports News for our March Madness special. I'm Brianna Trachtenberg. It's everyone's favorite time of year. It's time to see who will rise to the occasion and which teams are going to break your brackets. After taking a look at the South region, let's go ahead and see how the Midwest shaped up. For the fourth time in program history, Michigan takes the top seed after finishing the season with only 3 losses and are the favorites coming out of the region. The Wolverines will face the winner of the UMBC versus Howard game. Iowa State coming into the 2 seed after a close loss to Arizona in the Big 12 semifinals with a final score of 82-80. One team that's been on everyone's radar, however, is Miami, Ohio. The Red Hawks were undefeated this season until the MAC tournament where they lost to UMass in the quarterfinals. Miami, Ohio will play SMU in the first 4 on Wednesday for the chance to continue their season. Now, I'm joined alongside Nick Boyd. Nick, with the bracket set, who are your biggest favorites in the Midwest?
Yeah, for me, the 2 most dangerous teams, you mentioned Michigan up at the top, the number 1 seed in the Midwest. They have one of the craziest big man rotations in the country. Yaxel Lendeborg, the transfer they got from UAB last year, and Ade Mara. They have the best size in this region. I think that'll carry them a long set of the way. They're not invulnerable. We saw they lost the Big Ten championship to Purdue, but they're a very strong team and they should go far. The other really dangerous team to me is Iowa State. This team can shoot the lights out of the basketball. Milan Momcilovic, one of the best three-point shooters in the country, he's shooting at a 50% clip. A 50% clip. That is so ridiculous. Another great shooter in Jamarian Bateman, great point guard playing Taman Lipsey. I like their big man Joshua Jefferson. This is a team that could really go very, very far in this tournament for sure.
Definitely a lot of strong offensive for Iowa State. Now, after taking a look at some of the favorites, let's see how the nail-biter match up between the Toledo Rockets and Akron Zips went down as both teams look to punch their ticket into the big dance. Zips going for a 3rd straight MAC championship. Rivals Rockets, the only team between them and March. Late first half, Akron up 2. Armani Lyles takes it underneath for the layup. Zips up 4. A minute later, Akron down 4. Tavari Johnson takes it himself through the paint, cuts the lead in half. Next, offensive possession. Evan Mahaffey takes the ball down court, passes it to Lyles, and he barrels through for the and 1. He ties it at 63 apiece. 6.5 to go now. Rockets ball up 2. Mahaffey off the turnover at the top of the key and gets the breakaway run for another and 1. Momentum shifting to Akron completely. 1 minute to go now. Johnson goes corner to baseline for the lay, tied again at 76. Final seconds to play. Akron ball. Shamar Scott out from Lake Erie. Splash! The Cleveland kid takes the lead. Just take a look at the move on Minor Strong. Pressure. What pressure? Just nothing on him. Last possession now. Rockets to tie. Austin Parks just too high. Akron three-peats and wins the game by 3. Now, we know it's March, which means it's time for some madness. Nick, who do you think is going to cause the most chaos?
Well, the team you just saw, I like Akron as a potential upset in this region. They have a tough matchup with that number 5 seed Texas Tech. Texas Tech is going to be down JT Toppin, one of their big stars, but they still have Christian Anderson. They are still a really, really good ball club. I like Akron as a potential upset. I don't have them upsetting Texas Tech, but they're a team that I wouldn't be surprised if they pull it off. The other big school I'm looking at for an upset pick is Santa Clara in that 7-10 matchup with Kentucky. I view Kentucky is very vulnerable. Santa Clara is excellently run. Herb Sendek, one of the best coaches in mid-major college basketball. They played Gonzaga really tough in the WCC final. They're really, really well-rounded. No superstar who's going to carry them, but their starting 5 is incredibly well-rounded. And the last one, Hofstra. Speedy Claxton took him to the dance back in 2001 as a player. He's now the head coach there, and he took him there as a coach. And they have one of the best guard duos in mid-major basketball, Cruz Davis, Preston Edbeed. If those guys get hot, they could give Bama and LeBaron Filan a run for their money, and I think they could pull off the upset, especially with the news that Aiden Holloway is going to be unavailable for the Crimson Tide.
I do agree with you. I think that Hofstra can go out and definitely surprise anyone. Now, we can take ahead and take a look into our Magic 8 Ball. What games do you think are going to be the most exciting in the bracket?
Oh, yeah. Listen, up and down the bracket, we've got pretty good matchups. Let's pop it back up quick because I want to really highlight some big ones. Bama, Hofstra that we just talked about. That guard play is going to be incredible between LeBaron Philon and those two guards from Hofstra we just mentioned. Kentucky, Santa Clara, so excited for that one. That'll be a great back-and-forth matchup. Georgia, St. Louis in that 8-9. Those are two teams that like to play really, really fast. I like St. Louis in that matchup. I think they're more experienced and are the better coach team. Robbie Avila finally making the big dance. You'll love to see it. And then the first 4 games, there's some sneaky good ones. That Miami-Ohio SMU game should be a fun shootout. And watch out for UMBC. If they can get past Howard in their first 4 matchup, they'll match up with number 1 Michigan. If you remember back in 2008, UMBC took down number 1 Virginia as a 16, the first 16 to ever beat a 1. Could happen again. It's March. Anything's possible.
That's true. It's always crazy when it comes to March. Now, finally, Nick, who is making it to for the end, and who do you see raising up the trophy on April 6th?
So out of the Midwest region, the teams I see going to the Sweet 16 are Michigan, Texas Tech, Virginia, and Iowa State. I like a lot of those teams. They're very well coached. All of them have very good, except for Michigan, who's run through their front court, have very good guard play and can really shoot the basketball consistently. I have Iowa State making it out of this region as the championship. I have them upsetting Michigan, getting to the Final Four. I think the Final Four is going to come down to Duke, Illinois, Iowa State, Arizona, 2-1 seeds. Illinois is incredible with Keaton Wagler and Andrei Stojakovic. I love that team so much. But I do think Duke is going to end up taking it at the end of the day. They have the best player in the country in Cam Boozer. They've looked like the best team in the country all year. I don't see any team really knocking them off. They're going to have some tough tests along the way, but I don't see any team being able to really knock them off.
I do agree. I think that Duke is the clear front runner heading into the bracket. Now, well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us for our March Madness special, but be sure to stay tuned for a full breakdown of the east side of the bracket.
Welcome into the course report for JRN 565 Sports Tonight alongside Brianna Trachtenberg. I'm Beckett Calkins, and it was Masters Sunday this weekend, and it came down to the wire again, Brianna.
It really did. You know, Rory McIlroy, he had the 6-stroke lead heading into this weekend, and then he ended up losing it, and he had a tough battle to come back on Sunday.
Last year's champion McIlroy looking to defend his title. Let's take a look and see if he could hold on, Brianna. It was a up and down round for McIlroy, but he was leading by 2 at the 17th hole as we take a look at the approach shot here. He hits it sky high, but it falls short right off the green there. Tough chip by McIlroy.
Just a tough roll off the green there for McIlroy.
Next shot, perfect placement there on the green, and he'll putt that in for par, keeping the lead at 2 onto the 18th hole. This was an ugly drive from McIlroy. Again, he hooks it way right, and that one ended up in the pine straw.
It's never a spot where you want to be if you're trying to take home a Masters win.
Next shot leaves him in the bunker, but look at this. This shot lands smoothly on the green. A beautiful out by McIlroy, and he would have 2 putts, chances to win it. Here's the second look at that. McIlroy taps it in for bogey and the win, the first back-to-back champ since Tiger Woods in 01-02. His parents were there to support him after the win.
It's really cool to have them here. They missed it last year, and the first thing I wanted to do was fly home to see them because I obviously wouldn't be sitting up here if it wasn't for them. So, and I had to sort of convince them to come this year because they thought that the reason that I won last year was because they weren't here. So I said on the putting green, I'm glad that we proved that wrong, so they can keep coming as long as they want.
Brianna, first of all, wow, what an event. Another exciting Masters round. But Rory, on top again, what does another green jacket, now back-to-back, do for his legacy?
I think this really solidifies him as one of the greats when it comes to golfers. He's only the 4th ever golfer to go back-to-back in the Masters. He also now has won his 6th major championship. He's just truly become one of the best golfers out there. And this isn't it for Rory. He said yesterday that this is just a part of the journey for him. This is one more step, and that it's not his final destination, so there's a lot more to come for him. And he's also proven that last year's win just wasn't a fluke and that he is meant to be wearing that green jacket.
It feels like there's kind of been 2 top dogs in the world of golf, especially recently. We've got world number 1, Scottie Scheffler, And now Rory right there. He's kind of into that top echelon. How close does this win, another green jacket, another Masters title, make that gap between Scheffler and McIlroy?
It definitely puts a little bit of a dent, but there's still a larger gap between him and Scheffler. Scheffler's still on top in the rankings. And look, if he wanted to be number one, he'd have to beat out Scotty Scheffler consistently for the rest of the season, and he's going to need some major tournament wins coming down the stretch. Scotty is still at number one, and he has been consistent with multiple tournament wins and multiple major wins, but he has been struggling a little bit this season. We saw it at the Masters during this tournament, and we're seeing Rory start to rise up, and he's really at what seems like some of the best of his game. And I think if he keeps playing like this, then he could overcome Scheffler.
You mentioned those major tournament wins. Coming up, we've got the PGA Championship. How can Rory keep that winning momentum going forward into that one?
I think the second Masters win was a big relief for Rory. He said his last win was, and it really seemed like there's a lot of joy with him for this. And golf is such a mind over matter sport. And I think without now this intense pressure of, is he meant to be there? Is he really one of the best? It's going to help him relax in his play style and be able to play more consistently. I also think on a skill level wise, Rory has to keep up his great drives that he was having during this Masters. That, along with his chipping, is really going to set him apart from the rest of his competitors. And he's going to be able to take home some major championships pretty easily. And it's going to make it harder for his competitors to keep up with him. And honestly, he also just has to avoid making as many mistakes as possible. We saw it, right? At the end of the 18th, when he hits it out into the pine woods, you can't be doing that when you're playing in these major championships against some of the best golfers in the world. Those types of mistakes can be deadly for a golfer, and he's lucky that he was able to get out of it and then get out of the sand trap and be able to make that putt. But had he not had such a big lead, that could have led him into a lot of trouble.
We touched on the PGA really briefly, but it's coming up. It's the next big one. Do you think McIlroy can get it done, or who's your pick to win the PGA Championship?
I honestly do think that McIlroy can get it done. I think he's kind of on the peak of his high right now, and there's a lot of confidence in him. And I do think that Scotty Scheffler would be his biggest competition in that tournament. But I have faith in McIlroy, and I think that he's proven that he knows what he's doing. He knows how to keep calm under pressure now. And even when the lead got away from him this past weekend and he started to struggle and it was going back and forth during Sunday, he said he wasn't necessarily scoreboard watching. He was keeping track of his own score and keeping on top of his play, and I think if he does that again, he'll find some success once again.
It should be fun going forward, but again, back-to-back green jackets for Rory McIlroy in Augusta. Coming up, though, stick with us. We've got the WNBA draft coverage coming up, and AZ Fudd, Brianna, one of the top prospects this year out of UConn. We'll see where she ends up and more when we come back. Fudd had a fantastic season, a near undefeated season for the UConn Huskies before they lost in the Final Four. WNBA coverage up next.